This is a trade recap for Wednesday, April 16th, 2026. Number 5 of 10, right? Remember 5 of 10 for one and done. Our exercise for consistency. This is phase 4. So we worked previous phases to just, again, continue to work on that discipline consistency while slightly increasing size through each phase. This was the exercise developed by my coach and mentor, Pat Mitchell, and it does wonders if you are struggling in that department. It's definitely something you can do to really sort yourself out, identify issues, and work on them. Another thing that you can definitely do is get a coach or mentor. That's probably the most important thing any individual in this space who is trying to do trading on that, that professional level. You need to learn from someone who has managed to do that, to actually get to that level and can consistently do it day in, day out. And Pat Mitchell over at Trick Trades is the man you want to see for exactly that. So if you're interested in joining the service, it is an education service, not an alert service. You're not there to shadow trades. You're there to learn. You can jump over to the website at tricktrades.com. Look it over, read about all the information that's on there, read about Pat and his background and what he's accomplished over this past decade. It's pretty amazing. And again, decide whether or not this is someone you would like to learn from. I would highly recommend, if you're serious about this, he's exactly who you're looking for. If you want a sample of what he puts out there in terms of information, he also has a YouTube page. There's over 1,700 videos on his page. It is a wealth of information. It's just going to take you a considerable amount of time and effort to really go through those videos, pull out all the information, and then put all those pieces together. It'd probably save yourself a significant amount of time, effort, and even money by simply just learning from the source. If that's something you really want to do, check the description below. You'll find links to the memberships and a discount on your first month, so you can give it a shot. And if it's something you like, you can stick around. If not, it doesn't jive with you, then all good. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this morning's trade session. All right. So if you are new here, the way this is all set up is we only trade SPY and Qs. We don't trade any other tickers. So this top row, this is SPY. This bottom row is Qs. On the left here, these are the daily charts. In the middle, these are the 1 minute intraday charts, and I keep my order execution here on the right. Now, starting the night before and then refining the morning of, Pat will start plotting out these levels. These are the levels you see in blue here. And then he will build our trade plans around them. Once he sets these levels, they do not change for any reason. If you find that you are having to adjust your levels, especially after the open, then you really don't have a trade plan, and it's probably why you're struggling or having issues trading, or at least one piece of it. One thing I do throw on here that he does not, I put my risk levels on here because I just like to see where I'm risking off of to keep track of it. You'll also notice, and something I've recently been trying to do more of, is kind of to figure out, again, interesting points for support, resistance, technical levels to keep an eye on that will serve as, places to, again, pay into or potentially add into, depending on where exactly they are. That's, again, just a personal preference for me. It's something that I'm doing. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. But again, so far, I actually like it. Does add a little clutter to the charts, but something, again, I do like it because it helps, again, me keep track of things. Sometimes I don't need it because it's very obvious where it's going, and sometimes it's not. So let's get into the recording. It's about 10 seconds before the open. As you can see, we're opening between these two levels on Qs and these two levels here on SPY. And we've had a pretty significant run up. So the plan here is if it comes down into these lower levels, again, it'll trigger it along. And if it comes up, it will trigger the short. Yeah, again, it's one of those things where we had, again, a healthy amount of distance between both. So again, not really, again, just got to see how it kind of opens up. So here we go, gonna hit play. And in terms of preparation side, again, make sure your orders or everything are ready. The one oddity I think I had this morning, for some reason, I decided to size down a little bit because of where we were going to be opening up and potentially starting. Probably wasn't necessary ultimately what we were risking off of. Because by doing that, again, I kind of missed the top of that. So lesson learned there. So got in with one there on Qs because it got close enough to the level. SPY had a bit more range to go, over 50 cents. Again, paid myself right there on a nice big wash down into that lower support level. So again, just one of those things where it's just keeping an eye on things. Grab a quick screenshot there. And then again, see what kind of happens. So thus far, my one trade that I'm allowed is a short on Qs. We're going to see if we can get a continuation on that or a place to, again, like average into it as if it were, again, just that continuation instead of taking something long because, again, we're not allowed to do that right now. Comes down into that blue level on Qs. SPY still has room to come down, but is finding some support there at that pre-market range. Qs kind of comes through a little bit, comes down to that lower level in the previous close. And see what happens. Let's get it pop back up to potentially add into that lower range. Qs is pop or SPY is popping up, and it's mostly where it's like doesn't really seem to really want to come higher. So looking fairly weak. So I'm comfortable taking a potential add here if I can get it into the right spot. Getting close. Kind of see how again it plays. Get that little bit more push into that lower part of that range. So pop. The thing is that like on that pop, the premium didn't really move in either direction, so it's interesting. So again, it's one thing. Sometimes you gotta watch out because sometimes the premium can be a little funky. Pat was mentioning that to us during the live session. So I went ahead and added my one there. Gonna kind of see again what happens. Q's was looking a bit weaker than SPY. But again, it played one close to the vest, so again, took it off as soon as again kind of got that reaction. So now we're in and out with two. I'm just kind of seeing how this plays. So I entered again with just one, just kind of feeling it. Again, Pat will call these like feeler trades and things like that, but playing it very close to the vest just because of, again, trying to see what SPY is ultimately going to want to do. Because if it busts above that level, I imagine it's going to squeeze out. So I'm not trying to oversize the position, keep it pretty close to the chest, and again, see what we can get out of it. So right there, get another reaction, back down into that level, and took it off. Now, as you can see, we started breaking down a little bit more. And that's pretty much how that went. So that was the three trades, or three, again, one trade, but three, again, entries on there. And as you can see, ultimately, it did, again, kind of come back up and down a little bit here before ultimately breaking down and going to a lower level. Again, to SPY, again, finally started reading really weak. So it's one of those things where with the market at all-time highs at the top of a range, it's one of those things we've been taught to be a little bit cautious, size down, trade first reactions, things like that, versus, again, building up, again, a full-size position and, again, potentially getting yourself into hot water. Because, again, this thing does have potential to squeeze, which, it, again, ultimately, I think it did later in the morning. But also, it's one of those things where if you're not adjusting your size, depending on where you are in the daily chart, you can rack up some pretty nasty losses that way. And again, because your emotions are going to get into it, it can get away from you. It's just one of those things. So, all in all, good morning. Kind of oddity that I did size down initially in the morning off that first trade. So again, I'm kind of going back and forth on that one. Other than that, emotions were good, discipline were good. Didn't have any, again, hesitation. Timing was a little funky there, but again, I was just trying to read the price action between SPY and Qs on where to like take those ads and where to pull them off. But again, I wanted to play it fairly close to the vest because you just never know with the way the market has been. Games are afoot, and again, you can get some weird stuff going on. And we're fairly extended to the upside. So all in all, good stuff there. This was number 5, like I said, of 10 for this phase of one and done. P&L on today's 3 contracts was $60. So again, small things, we're definitely starting to notice that again, getting that higher, bit more consistent P&L, which should be an aspect of using more size as well, not just size, but again, refining entries and exits. Because one of those things where if your entries and exits are all jacked up, it's like size really doesn't do all that much for you because you're not taking advantage of it, or you're leaving. I'm trying to think of the right way to put this. You're losing out on, again, a lot of that optimal averaging, I would call it, just because, again, Pat did this exercise a while ago, or what was it, a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, of again, like how much your average can change by just being imprecise with your entries and exits. So again, small things, we're trying to do better in that regard. Still some, again, points that definitely need to be refined, but it's one of those things where it's nice to, again, really see it, acknowledge it, and then just work it, because that's ultimately what we need to do with each one of these little things that need to be tweaked and tuned. But all in all, good stuff. Middle of the week, sure, again, we're getting towards the end of the week, not the middle of the week. But yeah, that's more or less all I got for this one. I want to think momentum is tomorrow, so that might be a little bit different style of trading depending on all in all what happens with the levels and where we set up and all that stuff. So we will catch you tomorrow for the next one, and I hope everyone has a great day. Like I said before, if you're looking for that high-level coach and mentor, check out Pat Mitchell over at TrickTrades.com. He's the man you want to be learning from. Other than that, that's all I have, and we'll catch you tomorrow for the next one. Later.